Henrietta Hill, welcome to the University of Huddersfield.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're here today to talk to the students. You've also been in the news very recently because you are the representative of the Orgreave Truth and Justice campaign. Why does there need to be an inquiry into Orgreave, do you feel?
The Orgreave Truth and Justice campaign believe that there needs to be an inquiry into what happened at Orgreave because establishing the truth about what happened has never really occurred. So putting it very briefly, a group of miners were prosecuted after the Battle of Orgreave. It was alleged that they had been the instigators of violence. Those trials fell apart. It's said because the police hadn't been honest in their accounts about what the miners had done. And there's never been any accountability or any investigation as to how it is those trials fell apart, how it appears that police officers lied in their accounts. Evidence has come forward in recent years about officers at the Hillsborough disaster several years later, on the face of it, not telling the truth about their accounts in their notebooks and their statements at the time as well. So there's a real concern that the truth about Orgreave is an important part of the Hillsborough story because this involves the same police force several years earlier. The effects of Orgreave have been very long-standing on the mining communities in particular. There remains an ongoing distrust in the police. There are real concerns about whether the police actions at Orgreave were in fact overzealous, were militarised policing. There are real concerns about whether that was instigated by central government. And finally, there are genuine concerns that there are difficulties that remain today about the way in which the police liaise with the media, about the way in which police notebooks are written up. And so all those reasons together mean that the Hillsborough story isn't complete until the Orgreave story is told, but the Orgreave issue is important in its own right as well.
Yes, because the argument from the Home Secretary is that we don't need to go back. The policing system's different these days, that there really doesn't need to be an inquiry. There'll be no lessons to be learned. Do you agree?
No, I don't. I mean, there's no doubt that policing has changed, happily, since the 1980s, but the Home Secretary, as she then was, Theresa May, recognised earlier this year that historic injustice burns away and needs to be addressed, otherwise the toxic consequences of it will continue. So even if this was an issue that had no current relevance, it would need to be looked at because there remains a legacy in South Yorkshire in particular, in mining communities. The South Yorkshire Policing and Crimes Commissioner himself has said that there remains an issue here that he finds it difficult to address. But I do think there are still problems with the way in which the police liaise with the media. Many who are involved in protests these days would still say there are problems with excessive policing. And there remain concerns about the way in which police officers put their evidence into a notebook or a statement form. So I don't agree that there's nothing to be learned here.
So the government has said there'll be no inquiry. Where does the campaign go from here?
Well, the campaign is obviously considering what it can do in light of that decision. It might be possible to challenge that in the courts. Parliamentarians who've been very supportive of the campaign are also considering what to do. There is discussion at the moment about the possibility of a Home Affairs Select Committee led by Yvette Cooper. She chairs that committee. She has set in train requests to the Home Secretary to find out what material she based her decision on and to see that material. And so it might be that there is some kind of parliamentary inquiry, but certainly as far as the campaign is concerned, this is unfinished business and they will not let this lie.
The University of Huddersfield, inspiring tomorrow's professionals.